Thank you. Colonel Swain, thank you very much. I see the Lieutenant Governor Robinson has left. I think he should be our next governor. And I've got a few people I want to thank real quickly. I had a tough time, and I'm having a tough time now, so I may get upset. I've spent 2 years back-to-back in Afghanistan. Do we have any 1st to the 130th folks from the Raleigh Guard? Okay. So I had the unique opportunity a couple of times to work with the North Carolina Guard. First time was Camp Able Sentry in Macedonia after the air war in Kosovo. Our camp commander was a general officer from the North Carolina Guard. At that time, he was a 06, and I cannot remember his name because I'm on stage, but I'll remember it and I'll tell you. But I worked with the 1st to 130th in Afghanistan, so it's very important. That was my last tour there as an Army aviator. I went back as a Blackwater aviator, an executive, and I've been going back to Afghanistan. I went back probably up until 2016, so I've been there from 2002 back and forth till 2016. So there's a lot of spent a lot of time in Afghanistan. I've lost 6 employees as a leader in a company that were over there flying, supporting DOD, OGA, and Department of State interest. So when Colonel Swain asked me to speak, I had to really think about it because there's only 3 times in my life I felt God tell me you're doing what you need to be doing, and 2 of them were in that country. And the last one was in business. So I have an affinity for Afghanistan, the people, our allies, all the soldiers. So I had to really think hard what would I share with you. And I'm going to share 4 little vignettes of things that I saw that we need to go back inside and think about in our hearts and minds. And that's what we do as Americans. I think when you think about resolve and perseverance and care and compassion and love, that's what this country's about. We have racial diversity, we have religious diversity, we have all these different things that we all believe in and we all promote. And I've quit watching TV because if I watch TV, I think we're living in a very terrible place. But we're the greatest country in the world, so I'm going to share with you a couple things. But we do have some distinguished folks here. We have the former 1st Special Forces Group Surgeon, Dr. Rick Hilliard. He's a dear friend, and we also have my business partner, Major Jake Tomlin, U.S. Marine Corps F-18 fighter pilot. He's also the president and soon to be the CEO of Grand Canyon Airlines and Grand Canyon Expeditionary. Judge Stading, you're out there, I hope, still. I supported you. I think he's gone. I think he went back to Charlotte, but I bought one of his hats. My beautiful wife, Jana, who's a patriot. And our number 3 daughter, we have 4 daughters. We're the Brady Bunch, a dysfunctional Brady Bunch, but we have 4 daughters and 1 son. And our daughter number 3, Abby's here. She lives in New York City. She lives in Manhattan. So thank you for coming, babe. You know, there was a book written when we went to Afghanistan. It's called Homefront. And it was written by a professor from the University of North Carolina. And all it did was basically ostracize Fayetteville, North Carolina, and Fort Bragg with diatribe and rhetoric. I wrote an op-ed right before I deployed, and on the same day, the Fayetteville Observer had this article about Homefront. It was on the bottom fold, very bottom. The top fold was a Green Beret carrying a child out of a building that had just been blown up. So the top was this soldier saving this child. The bottom was this professor from Chapel Hill trashing Fayetteville, North Carolina. And I read it, and a friend of mine's a very successful businessman in Fayetteville, and he goes, you love to write an op-ed on this, and I'll get it published. And so I did. But I told her there's more heroes per square mile in Fayetteville, North Carolina than Chapel Hill ever thought about. And I'm a Carolina fan too, okay? My wife's a state grad, but I'm a Carolina fan too. So we're kind of a divided household. Anyway, let me talk about Afghanistan before my boss kicks me in the butt, okay? And excuse my language. I wrote something really nice, but I think you need to remember this number, 412 first responders, because you're my hero, Chief. I'm going to tell you this. Guess what? You have protests, you have something here, call us up. We'll come help you, okay? Because we do Black to Blue. It's on our cars. It's everywhere we look. All the first responders. But 412 were killed on that day. 343 were firefighters. The other 69 were NYPD or Transit Authority Police Department. We are New York Giants fans. We go to games. We go to New York. New York's a big deal to us. Our daughter lives in New York. What Lieutenant Governor Robinson said, what made that person decide to go save one more person is amazing. And what Commander Gonzalez said, he just did it. It was autonomic. He did it. And I think that's what these great people do. But Colonel Swain had a operations officer that worked for him named Jesse Farrington. He's a retired colonel. And he and I went to Desert Storm together, and we went to Afghanistan together. And General John Vines went to Desert Storm with us and went to Afghanistan with us. So I have a picture. You may have seen it. All three of us are there together. We're not in our 20s and 30s. We're in our 40s and 50s there. I was 38 probably. But it was really tough on me. When 9/11 happened, I don't look like it now, but I used to be a huge runner. I ran all the time. And I'd just gotten back from taking my children to school in Fayetteville. And I went running, and I came home, and I got a phone call, and they said, you need to turn on the TV. And I turned it on, and I thought, that's odd. You know, I've been flying since I was a kid. And then I saw the second airplane hit, and it was hitting. I was like, the first had already happened. I saw the second. And I immediately knew I'm going to work, and I packed up everything, and I didn't know I was going to come home that night. I mean, I was hoping we're going to leave, and we're going to go spank these jackasses today. And that's what all these military guys in here do. That's what we do. We live to go protect our country. We don't want to necessarily go put ourselves in harm's way. But I thought we're going to leave. Well, we didn't leave for quite some time. It took about 5 months. We went to California, and we trained at night in the mountains of California and Nevada. We shot the aircraft. We got proficient. We got everything set, and then we left. And I arrived in Afghanistan early. I was there 3 months before our unit, 2 to 3 months before our unit got there. Myself, Major General Don Fallon, now he was our ops officer, and Gary Short, he was our maintenance officer. The three of us went ahead, and we were basically assigned to 3rd, the 101st from the 101st Airborne. We were from Fort Bragg, 82nd and 229th Aviation Regiment. And so it was really good for me because I got to fly for 3 months. I was the really only fighter in that group of people. General Fallon was our S3, so he's working on plans. Gary's working on logistics for the maintenance of the aircraft and the hangars. But I flew probably 6 days a week for 3 months. So by the time all our folks got there, I'd been there flying, and we had great leadership. Lieutenant General Richardson, Jim Richardson, was the commander of the 3rd of the 101st then. When I thought about what I would share with you, I thought, you know, I'm going to share why I love Afghanistan, and I think why I feel we made a mistake doing what we did the way we did it. But the first one's called M&Ms for Everyone. And one night we're in Khoust, Afghanistan. It's on the Pakistan border. If you read a lot and you look at the Haqqanis in Afghanistan, they were Mujahideen, and then they turned into Taliban folks. The son now is 48 years old. He's I think he's the interior minister, but he has everything to do with law and order, Sharia law. And the Haqqanis were based in Khoust. And I can remember General Richardson telling me, that's who we need to take out. But we didn't. We were looking for Osama bin Laden. And we looked for him for about 6 or 7 months really hard. We went on a lot of raids. But on one particular night, we're down in Khoust doing deliberate attacks. And Colonel Farrington had gone into ops to get the frag order. It's a fragmentation of an order. And I'm in the aircraft. This night time's about 11:30 at night. You can see tracers going off everywhere, and you can hear things here and there. And I'm out there. There's 4 aircraft, and we're the lead aircraft. And where we were parking, we're actually the trail aircraft in the mission, but where we were parking, we were up front, and there was a fence. And it was about where the Wake GOP sign is. And it was about 4 feet, 5 feet high. It was to keep locals from meandering onto where these helicopters come in at night. And a safety barrier. And it's these Afghan kids, 2 boys, 14, 15, 16, I don't know. And they're standing there, and I'm looking at them, and I just go, you know what? I'm going to get some M&Ms out of these MREs. I opened up 2 MREs, and I always took the ones that had M&Ms because I love M&Ms. So I'd steal them out of my tent, my buddies. And I open them up, and I get out of the aircraft. I unsaddle. I get out. I walk over, and I hand these M&Ms to these kids. And I walk back to the aircraft. Colonel Farrington walks up to me, and he goes, "What the F are you doing?" And I said, "Sir, if I get killed giving these kids M&Ms, I'm going straight to heaven." Okay? And that's a true story. The next one, there was a slide up here. It showed a guy, he's a West Point grad, and he's somebody I mentored. And he gave me a lot of praise for a mission. It's basically called, chasing squirters. And so anytime we were going after a high-value target, HVT, you would have special forces, rangers, SEALs. You'd have tier 1 elements or tier 2 elements in our defense system going after these guys, and we are basically providing the fire support for the Mark Cavalieros, for all the infantry guys in the military and the special ops guys. And special ops has their own aviation, but they were so busy, we started getting handed missions for our special ops community, and one of them was a ranger mission. But on this one particular mission, it was special forces, and they're going to hit this target, and we're lead. It's me, and I'm with a lieutenant from 3rd to 229th. And I said, today's going to be your day, man. You're going to get an award today. And he goes, what do you mean? I go, I just feel like something's going to happen. And we're flying, and I see this motorcycle as we're about 6 kilometers from the city, the village we're going to. I see this motorcycle, and I go, we've got a squirter. And what would happen is, as we were progressing into attack, in this case, they're doing an air assault. We're just going to kind of fly around and make sure the guys on the ground are safe. But cell phones would go off, and they'd notify people, and people would squirt out of these villages. So these guys are squirting out on this motorcycle, and I decided on the radio, I said, hey, we've got a squirter. They said, hey, if you don't have to take them out, don't take them out. It may be somebody we want to talk to. And we say these things in a very condensed manner, not like that. And I'm like, got it. So we flew up right beside them, and at about 45, 60 knots, slowed down. I just took the left wheel and knocked them both off the motorcycle. And they tumble. It's like a NASCAR crash, you know, they tumble. And the guys in the Black Hawk get out, they butt stroke these guys, they put them on the Black Hawk, zip tie them, and off they go. And we get back, and I'm thinking nothing of it, because it was like we didn't pull the trigger. We didn't, and I still wouldn't have pulled the trigger on that case. We could have stopped them very easily. But the guy ended up being the number 2 or 3 Taliban communications guy. So you never know who's leaving these places. You never know who's there. But once again, compassion. We get listed all the time as someone who's going out, just like our brothers in blue. You know, you fire. We don't always fire. Most of the time, we don't fire. And that's what people don't get. When we do fire, it's a bad deal. But in this case, we didn't. The other one was another Special Forces team. We're down in Kandahar. These guys are egressing away from Special Ops, and they give me a call. We zip in there in the Apaches, me and my wingman, and I go, hey, what are these guys doing? They go, they're down in that canyon. We need them. Can you herd them back up to us? So I go, sure. And I'm with a young captain who I think was a Harvard grad. He was like one of the few guys we had that was really educated and a really neat guy. And he would always laugh at us because he was like, you know, these kind of things never happen. Well, the discussions we'd have in tents never happened when he was in Boston. But we pop a rocket to the left, these guys go right. We pop a rocket to the right, these guys go left. And we herded them right back up to the SF guys who collapsed in and grabbed these guys. Now they've got an intelligence source, just like the squirters. So 2 times, no shooting. So M&Ms, no shooting 1, no shooting 2. And then the last one wasn't in Afghanistan, but it's probably the one that I would share with you as a soldier and a warrior. That means a lot to me. When I first went to Kosovo, I went to Albania. We've lost 78 Apache pilots since that aircraft went into service. And I went to Albania under the auspices of being an accident investigator on a board because we lost 2 aviators and an Apache. There was nothing left. The ground uncommanded on a mission. And it was a really heartbreaking time for me. Well, I stayed there, and I transitioned with the unit there into Macedonia, and I flew with 66 Cav and Colonel George Billifer, who was an American hero, for about 2 months, and then our unit came again. So this pattern keeps happening to me. But I loved it. And we're up on a soccer field because we had a maintenance issue. We had a transmission that we thought was getting ready to give out, and we had to put the airplane down. And I had my replacement after about a year and a half of being there. going there back and forth. We had my replacement there, and he's in the front seat, and we get out. And within like 15 minutes, all these little kids, no parents, and I asked him, he was an interpreter, he spoke pidgin English, my co-pilot spoke really good German, the guy spoke German, so we're going back and forth, and I go, where are the parents? And he goes, they're all dead. These are orphans. Genocide. And I had 3 daughters. And this little girl, she grabbed my hand and she held it. In Warrant Officer Candidate School, we had these things called walk wallets. And I still had my walk wallet. And I had a picture of my daughters. And I pulled it out and I showed it to this little girl, and she just collapsed, held my hand even harder. And I had nothing on me except a $5 bill and that I could give her. So I wrote a little note, and I wrote my phone number and my address and my name, and I gave her the $5 bill, and I wonder to this day, that was in 1999, fall of 1999, towards Thanksgiving sometime. It was chilly, and I remember it was cold. We got out of the aircraft, and I didn't have my jacket. It was packed in the back. But those are the things I can share with you. I could share a lot of shoot 'em up stuff, and I just don't feel like what's. But you have a lot of people out there that care about our country. I'm not a politician. I'm a war fighter. I'm a soldier. I'm a businessman. And you have a lot of folks out there that have a lot better stories, a lot better memories. But I treasure every one. And much like Commander Gonzalez, 9/11 was not. I probably spent over 40 months in Afghanistan, 24 in the Army, and another 36 or so going back and forth over the years. And there's a picture in that slide deck of a father with, I think, 2 or 3 girls on a donkey. And that picture exemplifies 98% of that country. But the other 98% are just trying to survive. And that's what we don't tell people. So please support Wake GOP. Please support Colonel Swain and these absolutely amazing volunteers. This guy, you got to give him a break because he works all the time. He's going to kill himself. And then we're not going to have anybody that's going to be this passionate. So please support him, and thank you for